tell us about the first time you got taken to one of these parties, what your memories are of that.
Yeah, okay. So I was woken up by Michael Kohler. I was so scared of him. Like one of the ways that this ended up getting out is my mom had a guest over at the house, and when Michael told me to brush my teeth one night, I pissed myself in front of this guest, and this guest wanted to know why I was pissing myself so scared of this man. That's just an ancillary event of one of the reasons why I was able to eventually talk to some counselors at my school and get him into some kind of trouble. You have to understand I was a young kid during this, so I'm not privy to exactly what happened to him. I've only been told by relatives that is what occurred, and I know that he disappeared out of my life at that point. But so I was woken up by him. He took me into the car. I remember driving for a very long time, and I remember being aware of where we were going. It was, we weren't wealthy. We were very poor, so it was all very impressive to me when we went up into the hills of Scottsdale, and it's a place in the greater Phoenix area that's a little more wealthy, and we were taken down. We were presented with a gate, a very large gate, and I remember being really impressed by it. I thought it was really cool. I didn't know what was happening to me the first time. I was very excited about what was happening. I was told that I was getting rewarded, and that what was going to happen to me was very, very special. I remember being super impressed by the gate because it was a mechanical gate, and I remember going up a very, very long drive to the biggest house I'd ever seen. It was like it was an amusement park. Like, to me, I was so excited to go to this place. And so when we were ushered inside by some greeters that would take people inside, I saw all the adults in the grand area that were, drinking champagne glasses, whatever, what have you, having like a party type thing. And I was taken to a room where there were other children, and the room was set up for children. And I remember, it was only later in subsequent events where I would meet and try to have relationships with some of the kids. I remember, trying to talk to one of the kids, and I remember being scared of all the other kids because they were really standoffish, and I didn't know why. They didn't seem happy to be there like I was. There was only like one other kid that was happy to be there, and I remember trying to talk to him because I felt comfortable talking to him because I was scared of these other kids. I didn't know why they didn't want to talk to me. And subsequent events later, there would be conversations where I'd be told what happened to certain kids and why these kids were not happy to be there once I had an understanding of what was going to happen to us. But the first time I was then brought out into where the ritual was to take place, at which point we had been given ice cream that I'm assuming was to drug us because everything goes after that. But certain times it was less. I was more able to retain all the memories of what would happen to me later. But during that time, that's the first time that I was sexually assaulted by a large group of people. It's the scene that your listeners will be familiar with. It's real. Like, they take it seriously. They actually believe this garbage, and they find some kind of power out of abusing children, and they think that it gives them power. And I was so convinced that I was so special for what was going to be happening to me, that what they were doing to me was a privilege to me. Like, I should be thankful for what they were doing to me. And at which point, they would viciously assault us and take everything from us. Like, they're trying to eat our souls is how I described it when I was a kid. When I was doing art therapy is apparently what I would say. And it's the scene that they'd all be familiar with. It's the scene where, like, these people are in their garb, and they are dressing up and playing their little games, and this happened to me several times, of which the hunts that I've described to you were less frequent. And because of the way that I was able to expose this guy, I think that I probably got off a lot easier than a lot of the people you talk to. There was a time in my life where I thought that I was the most unlucky person in the world and no one could have had it worse than me, but in hearing the accounts of some of the people that you talk to, I think that I'm one of the lucky ones. I mean, I know I am just to be alive, but just the fact that I wasn't exposed to this for lengths of time like David, and it's just I'm counting my blessings at this point for only being exposed to it for the period of 5 years or whatever. But that's how long it went on, and I was involved in the hunting party situations only a handful of times, and I was only brought to this place special occasions. It would be like a couple times a year, but during that time the abuse continued in my home life and ramped up in severity. So I was dealing with it on different fronts, and I only have an understanding of it being satanic ritual abuse when I went back and tried to figure out what it was that happened to me when I was a kid.
Right, and you're talking about, when you talk about people dressed up and everything, you're talking about people in robes, eyes wide shut,
ceremonial formations of people in a grand hall. There's different locations. So at one location there was like a piano and there was like a landing up top. So it was very different. There was a point where there was masks involved in one of them, like you might see from like that Kubrick movie type scenario. But this was the very first time that you're talking about. It was just ceremonial garb, reading incantations with candles and all kinds of things that I thought were impressive at the time. The fear was setting in at that point. I can remember it vividly. But they were continuing to tell me how special I was and how what was going to happen to me was very, very special, and I should be thankful. And it was always presented to me during these situations as a blessing, as a gift to me.